let's jump into this. Van Jones said this about Donald Trump and his bizarre behavior.
This is a president that's in trouble. He has lied to his base. He told them that he was going to do something he's afraid to do. Why is Trump afraid to release these documents? That is the question. I have been defending Trump, actually saying it's inconceivable that anything that's in these documents is going to hurt Trump because Biden would have released them. But he's been acting so...
Do you still think that's true?
Well, now he's acting so weird. Trump is acting so bizarre.
So has that changed your view?
Dan, you actually think Merrick Garland, who moved with the speed of a wounded sloth, and was definitely...
That's what I thought. Maybe I'm
would have released this?
Here's what I'm going to say.
Listen,
the guy who took forever and a day to bring a case against Trump?
Here's what I'm going to say. Those of us who were making that claim have been undermined this week by Donald Trump acting so bizarrely. Why is he on Truth Social crying, saying, I don't even want you to be my friend anymore because you're being... This is unbecoming. This is strange. And it's starting to make people who don't want to believe the worst to believe the worst.
This is why continuing to carry the water or trying to play the middle ground is a problem. Van Jones said, I was defending Donald Trump about there's no way that the Epstein files have anything to do with him because Biden would have released them at the time. So as you carry that message and enough people are still foolish enough to listen to you, what you do is you've given the guy who's now seen widely as a cover-up artist for this whole thing for reasons that we can only speculate about, which a lot of times include the worst reasons. After you carry the water for them for long enough because you have to give him a benefit of the doubt so you don't look like you're crazy or nothing, then you allow him to continue to cover this whole thing up, to continue to not give a damn about the victims that they previously claimed to give a damn about. It's allowing folks to implement these types of policies and this type of energy and within the country to make people be okay with it. Normalizing this kind of bad behavior will allow you to then say, now in the middle of July, now Donald Trump is acting bizarrely. This fool has been acting bizarrely since I'm going to limit myself a little bit, since he came down the escalator. That's bizarre behavior. Is it also bizarre behavior that he said he's going to release them on day one and they didn't? Is it bizarre behavior that he said he's going to end the war between Ukraine and Russia on day one? Is it bizarre behavior that he said tariffs are going to pay for themselves and they haven't? Is all that bizarre behavior yet, Van? Is any of that bizarre behavior? Because for some reason, he just now started acting bizarrely. And now he makes me look like a fool because I've been defending him. Bro, it was that train left years ago.
In your Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now calling...
I lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah. I lost because they got duped by the Democrats.
Why is Donald Trump defending pedophiles? Why is Donald Trump defending Jeffrey Epstein? Why? And that's what his people are asking. And now he's disowning them. Now he's distancing himself from those same folks. I'm just wondering if Van Jones understands that this is more bizarre behavior, or if he's going to go back to next week and going, well, I mean, I think if I defend him a little bit further, we can make some sense of this whole thing. Thomas Massey's trying to get something out of this. He's been a foe of the president lately, but I'm sure at one point he's going to be dropped back to his knees when he needs to win back this primary that Trump keeps threatening him with. But he did say this. I mean, a little bit of something. Thomas Massey pointed out, please thank these folks for sponsoring my bipartisan legislation to release the complete Epstein files. By the way, both the House and the Senate voted against releasing those files. Ro Khanna, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tim Burchett. I pointed out and highlighted Tim Burchett specifically because he also went on CNN to talk about how he's this champion of the victims.
Why do you specifically want there to be an investigation? Do you believe that the DOJ is withholding information right now about the truth of Epstein?
I believe that a lot of the evidence has probably been destroyed. I mean, that's what we do in Washington, man. We delay. That's a great question. That's what I think an investigation would solve. I don't think we'll ever know the answer to Epstein, ma'am, but I don't think we should ever stop asking what the heck went on.
He doesn't think we'll ever find out, but we should keep asking. I'm not sure if he is expecting an answer, but he just wants to keep asking. He wants the evidence to come out. He doesn't trust the way that this administration is moving. As a matter of fact, he only answers to God.
And, you know, Jesus said, how you treat the least amongst us is how you treat me. And those kids are the least amongst us, ma'am. And ultimately, I don't stand before the president or the voters I'm going to stand before my Creator, and I want to do that with a clear conscience. And that's ultimately what drives me, because politically, is this the route I need to take in Washington, and and everybody jumping down my throat? No, but my mama and daddy didn't raise me that way, ma'am. They were fighters, and they always stood up for the underdog. And in this case, I think it's important we stand up for the people of America that have been abused, and to say, we're through with these dirt bags.
He stands before his Creator. He doesn't answer to the president, not even his voters. What he stands before is his Creator, and he has to represent the most vulnerable among us. Those victims, many times those underage kids. So I want you guys to remember that. Tim Burchett stands for the least powerful of us. He doesn't answer to Donald Trump. So I want you guys to then pay attention to what he said about the possibility for Donald Trump to survive this. And think about how enthusiastic he is about which way this may go.
Well, President Trump, as you know, is calling the Epstein controversy BS. He's actually labeling Republicans as, these are his words, stupid and foolish, even calling his own supporters weaklings for not letting this story go. And he says he doesn't want their support anymore. What's your response to President Trump?
President Trump has his own opinions, but honestly, ma'am, he wins. Just like tonight, the cryptocurrency bill, it passed in the House because President Trump negotiated. He has a strategy in all this, and I suspect that's going to play out because, dadgummit, he wins every dadgum time. The big, beautiful bill hitting Iran the way they did with no American loss of life. It's uncanny that he ends up on top, and I suspect on this case he will do as well.
Tim Burchett is in a fight against Donald Trump about releasing these Epstein files because Donald Trump said the people who won are weaklings and losers and anti-American, and they're ignoring all the successes of the administration. Tim Burchett wants to stand up for the least powerful kids in our country. But when asked how he thinks this is going to play out, considering Donald Trump is rejecting all the people who are saying the things that he's saying, I don't know. Donald Trump's going to win every time. The man wins every time he does anything. So I suspect he's going to kick our asses around some more. I had to listen to that a couple times. I was like, is this the same interview? Weren't you just talking about how you're going to stand up because your parents were fighters and that you're going to speak to God because you only answer to him? Right before you answer to Donald Trump, who's hiding the evidence behind all these people who are victimizing the least powerful people in our country, those children, but you are sure he's going to win because the man wins at everything. The reason why he wins everything is because you keep giving him these wins because you don't stand by the things that you say that you're going to do, or even these principles that you talk about. What this is trying to make himself look good before nothing happens, so that his name isn't encapsulated with this whole thing. Because we did see how many Republicans did vote to block the release of these files. One last thing. We should probably ask Tim Burchett about the kinds of folks that Donald Trump released from their sentences from January 6th. Kyle Cheney, who's a senior legal affairs reporter for Politico, pointed this out. I'm not sure if this story is getting much traction, but this is what happened in the courtroom probably just this week. A California jury has convicted Kyle Colton, a pardoned January 6th defendant, of possession of child pornography. Colton had argued Trump's pardon should have reached his child porn case because it was discovered during the execution of the January 6th warrant. So they put Kyle Colton in jail for running up on the Capitol and being involved in these fights with these law enforcement officers and trying to take over the country and conduct Donald Trump's coup. So when that all failed, he got sent to jail. Donald Trump said, I'm going to release all you guys because you're my foot soldiers I need in the streets to have this fight that I'm going to have in this administration that we're in the middle of. And since he's been swept up again off of his child porn charges that he's got on his computer, he wanted to get off from that because it all came in with that same case that Donald Trump pardoned him for. Is anybody in this administration going to point out how these folks that ran up on the Capitol, Donald Trump's very great people, he called it one of the most beautiful days in America, was full of people like this guy who was now busted on child porn charges and still wants to get out proudly. His defense is that, well, you guys picked up all the child porn stuff when you guys were investigating the things that Donald Trump said it's okay that I did. In other words, Donald Trump endorses my behavior at all fronts, all the way up to the child porn, all the way up to covering up for this Epstein file situation, because Donald Trump doesn't care about child sex traffickers. He doesn't care about drug dealers. He doesn't care about criminals. What he cares about is making you think that he cares about those things while he steals your money and kicks people out of the country that he thinks are too brown or lesser than him. And he needs you to do that. Let me show you what this guy was saying in court. This is the last thing, I promise. Those court documents and evidence presented at this trial revealed that a law enforcement search of his home uncovered copious images and videos depicting graphic sexual abuse of young children. The material was saved on his computer desktop, and he had a number of bookmarks linking to known child porn sites. By the way, remember that whole thing happened with January 6th? It was January of 2021. Officials said that the material was downloaded between July of 22 and December of 2023, just in time for him to then get a chance to have Donald Trump pardon him. He's Donald Trump's guy. These are Donald Trump's people. Just want to point that out.